So we now have a functional video list component, and it has an array of videos to render. All we have to do now is render one video list item per video, and we're going to be in a pretty good spot. So luckily, making lists with React is pretty darn straightforward. Our video list component receives props, props.videos, that contains an array of videos. So we'll just loop over this array, and for each video, we'll generate one instance of video list item. So let's go ahead and give this a shot. First, we're going to go ahead, and we haven't done anything in video list item yet, but we'll go ahead and import it anyways, and then put some code in there in a little bit. So we'll import video list item from, and we're in the components directory right now, so we'll say current directory video list item. Okay, I'm going to remove the length printout right there for right now. We don't really need it anymore. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to build our loop. And when I say loop here, I don't actually mean a for loop. JavaScript's for loops, leave a little bit to be desired. In general, I really advise you to stay away from for loops as much as possible. Instead, try to be using built-in iterators instead, like the built-in map iterator. If you've never used a map before, no problem. Let's flip over to the console and do a quick demo. So if you're just starting off on JavaScript, you might be used to iterating over an array by doing something like this. You might say var array was 1, 2, 3, and then you'll say something like for var I equals 0, I less than array.length, I plus plus, and blah blah blah, all that stuff. Well, that stuff is gets kind of confusing sometimes, easy to make a typo, a lot of areas to make a mistake. So instead, we're going to use a built-in helper called map. A map is a property of an array. So you can see here that when I say array.map, it returns a function. If I declare an array of 1, 2, 3, and then I pass map a function, it will get called with each element in the array. So I can say number, let me dial this up a little bit, and we'll say return number times 2. So each element of the array will be passed into this function one at a time. So the function's going to be ran a total of 3 times. First with 1, then 2, and then 3. Array.map is going to return a new array where each index is the return value of the function. So I get 2, 4, 6, because first 1 went in, we multiplied it by 2, that resulted in 2. Then 2 went in, multiplied it by 2, that resulted in 4. And then 3 went in, multiplied it by 2, and that resulted in 6. So as you might imagine, using maps are really fantastic when building lists in React. We can do something like, instead of say returning number times 2, what if we did something like div, and this isn't actual JSX, this is just a string. Let's just pretend it's JSX for a second. Div plus number plus closing tag div. Well, look at this. I end up with div 1, div 2, div 3. If you could imagine that these were actual JSX tags, I would end up with an array of JSX, something that I could render with React possibly. We'll figure that part out. Okay, let's go ahead and give this map a shot. First thing we'll do is we'll set up our video list item since we haven't done that just yet. So over in video list item, we'll put some boilerplate down. We'll say import React from React, const video list item, props, and we'll return just a an li. And that just says video. And then at the bottom, we will export default video list item. Cool. So now each video list item, which is intended to show a single video, a thumbnail and a title, for right now is just going to show a single li that says video. Now back over in video list, we can start putting our list together. So up here at the top, we can say props.videos.map. And to do this in a little bit more concise term, we're going to use an arrow function rather than the function that we used over here in the console. So for each element of videos, we'll have a function that gets called with a single video, and then we'll define our arrow function, and we'll return a video list item, and we'll pass it the video as a property named video. Okay, last thing we need to do is save an actual reference to this array that gets returned. So we'll say const video items equals the result of this mapping function. Finally, we'll add it as JSX. Since we're referencing a JavaScript variable, we'll use curly braces, and we'll say video items. Okay. So a quick note here, React is very intelligent about rendering arrays of items. Notice that I've got an array here, it's returning another array. We do know that it's an array of components, but it is an array, right? So this variable right here is going to end up as an array that we're passing to React. Totally okay. React is going to recognize that it's a list or an array of components, and it's going to try to render all the LIs in here inside of the UL. So let's go ahead and give this a shot. I'm going to flip back over to Chrome. Let's refresh. And we get video, 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 5 times, 1 for each video. Awesome. Looking at the console, however, we do have a big, well, it's a warning, but it is red, so I guess you could kind of say it's an error. Let's discuss this warning in the next section.